Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Come to the Table Ministry YouTube channel. We want to welcome you in tonight, and I know it's a Saturday night, and a lot of people have a lot of different things going on, but we thought tonight would be a good night to share a little bit about our retreat that we had this past October, a couple weeks back. One of the speakers that was there is going to be joining us tonight, James Reeves, who has fastly become a wonderful friend and was there at the retreat and spoke two different times and was just so helpful for the guys that were there. But again, this has Come to the Table Ministry, and for those that don't know much about us, we are a ministry based out of Faith Bible Church down here in Mechanicsville, Maryland, and we provide resources, we provide groups, we provide individual coaching, couples coaching, and as well as the retreats for both men and women with people dealing with the sexual addiction and the sexual brokenness that is so rampant all over the world. And with the internet and COVID and all the other things, it's just increasing at an unraveling pace. And also for the women and men that are affected by the betrayal and the trauma that comes with it. We provide, both Michelle and I provide resources for that as well. So we're here to help and provide those resources. We're here to give you more information also about those resources and help you if we can't find somebody that could help you. And then just to be open to all the retreats and things that we have going on. And we're just so happy we could be a part of this. Michelle's not with us tonight because she's out in Washington State with her son and our daughter-in-law, spending some time out there. Thankfully, she's coming back tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that. But right now, I'd like to bring in James Reeves from City on a Hill Church down in, Fort Worth, Texas. A little bit about him when he came. We had a speaker that had to back out of our retreat at the last minute. And I was talking to Rich Moore from Pure Desire about who he thought could be a last minute fill-in. And he said, "How about James Reeves?" And wow, I said, I'd never expected he'd be even able to do something at such last minute. And we got on a conference call with James and Sunday night before the retreat. Within an hour, James had a flight booked and he was coming to Baltimore and he was ready to speak at our retreat. So as glad as I was to welcome him there, I'm even more glad to welcome him tonight so he can share a little bit about the retreat as well as about his hospital church and what they are doing for that, and then also about his Fearless series for women that he has coming out now. That's been a great impact for women around the world. So welcome in, James. Appreciate you coming in tonight.
You bet.
On a Saturday night. So you were at the retreat. Just share a little bit with the people out there what you thought and what you expected and what you actually experienced.
I think that it was everything that I had hoped that it would be and more. I love being with a group of guys like that because there's just no pretense. And, I have a saying that I tell people, and I really do live by it, that I don't trust a man that hasn't been broken. A guy that hasn't been broken yet is more prone to be untrustworthy than a guy that has and is coming up. And so I love being in a room full of men like that admit their brokenness and are in the repair process. And because, like I said, there's just no pretense in that environment, and it's all right out there on the table. And I love that. I love that.
What did you think when Rich and I got you on the phone and said, "Hey, can you come to Baltimore in less than a week and speak at this thing?" I mean, that was a great commitment by you to do that. I was very happy that you did.
Well, I've been on the road a great deal, or in the air, I guess you could say. The last 6 weeks, I've been went to Portland. I've been to Colorado twice, down to Corpus Christi, where I taught at a men's conference just that weekend before. And I was really kind of looking forward to being in my own bed for about a week. And it was that Sunday night, y'all called me. In fact, I was already in bed. I was fixing to start reading. But when I found out, what it was, that was a group of guys like this that are working through sexual brokenness, I went, you know what, I can't miss that. Because again, I love that environment and the lack of pretense. And so I just said, right on the spot, I had to check with my young associate to make sure he could step in for me on Sunday morning. because typically I'm not gone over Sunday morning. When I travel, I try to get back here
Right.
because I'm responsible for the Sunday morning, teaching. But he said, no, go ahead and go. In fact, he's just chomping at the bit to do it by himself every week anyway.
I
And
bet.
so I loved it. I had just an incredible time. And Rich and I didn't fly back out of there until Monday.
Uh-huh.
And Rich had to get up at like 2:30 in the morning to get his flight. His
Wow.
flight left at like 5, I think, because it was taking him all the way to Portland. So when I said adios muchacho, after we'd eaten dinner, he said, man, you won't see me again. I'll be gone at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And
Wow.
he was. So it was great reconnecting
Awesome.
with Rich. I love Rich. And first time I'd actually met you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget when you guys at lunch came walking up, and I was with Mark at the restaurant waiting for
Yeah.
y'all. And these two
Yes.
huge, monstrous men come walking
Who,
up.
those guys?
I said, "Yeah, all right." I said, "They're going to be my bodyguards for the weekend, right there." I like that, and my church has just gotten a lot of fun out of that picture.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that
anyway,
was fun. That was fun. Well, that's
yeah.
awesome. What did you think of the women's panel there with the Q&A
Oh,
with them?
I've never seen anything like that at a men's retreat, and I think that is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious, their input to the guys was just immeasurable, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
when I heard that you were going to do that, I thought, this is going to be interesting. See what comes out here. And man, they had so much to say, and the guys were open and asking the questions.
Yeah, they were.
I thought that was just that was a home run as far as
Yeah.
I was concerned.
Yeah, they didn't shy away from the questions, and the women didn't shy away from honest and real
None.
answers too.
Once again, there's that lack of pretension in that environment,
Mm-hmm.
because all three of those women that have gone through it from the spouse's side,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's all laid out there on the table.
It is. To the table.
Come
How
to the table.
appropriate. How appropriate. And for those that don't know, both those videos from the women's Q&A panel is on our YouTube channel, as well as a recap that we did with a couple of guys last week, I think it was,
Right.
just sharing what they got out of it too. So anybody that's out there wants to check out those videos, look at the YouTube channel. They're on there as well. Yeah, I don't. As far as the retreat goes, I know. Trying to figure out another picture here. We had some really, really good, awesome. There's Rich Moore,
Mm-hmm.
who spoke. Mark Dennison spoke. I had to show this picture too because it's just so
Oh yeah.
awesome to see that the guys that have come to the retreat for the last now 3 years have really, really come to know that just the beautiful scenery at Camp Wabana on the Chesapeake Bay,
Yeah.
the amazing, amazing sunrises. I mean, it's just a phenomenal place to be. And like you said, we were sold out. We were sold out last year, and we're hoping to reserve the whole camp now for this year. So
I'd never been to Maryland.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, it's on the Chesapeake Bay, and I thought, oh yeah, we're probably in the general vicinity. When I got there, we're actually on the bay.
Yeah.
It was like
right
100
there.
steps from the back door to the water. And of course, I've heard of Chesapeake Bay my entire life and had never seen it. So I've been all over the world, but I'd never been to the Chesapeake Bay.
Awesome.
So that was, that was fun for me. And
awesome.
the weather, man, everything about it. If any guys that didn't come this year, I'll tell you, you need to do it. I plan on being there next year.
I was just going to ask you. I just want to confirm you'll be there next year.
Whether you let me speak or not, I'll bring my guitar and we'll pick some tunes and I'll lead the worship with my guitar. And if you let me speak, I'll do that too. But otherwise, other than that, I want to be there.
You will be speaking, guaranteed.
Okay.
Guaranteed. So this year you did speak, and you spoke a lot about the hospital church, and also about your new series coming out for women that are sexually abused. Why don't you tell a little bit about, number one, the hospital church and what your philosophy is for a hospital church?
Okay. Well, I'm the founding pastor of this church, City on the Hill in Fort Worth, Texas. I was 29 years old and had 2 eyes when we started the church. And I'm 67 and got 1 eye now, but I'm hanging in there. But after 7 years, we transitioned from, a church that we'd planted. We were teaching the Bible. We were doing good things, but it wasn't the type of place where people could really feel safe to really talk about the real issues in their life. And real issues were beginning to come up inside of me from my childhood. Abandonment. My dad was a the town drunk in a small West Texas town where I grew up. He died when he was 41 of alcoholism. And I was a child of the 60s. So I was saved right in the middle of the hippie drug movement. I was into drugs, dropping out of school and crime and all kinds of things. And when I was 18, I came to know Christ. And 6 months later, my dad died. And so I really never had a childhood. And I didn't really think about that. I mean, Jesus had saved me, so I was going to take the world by storm. And went off to college and went to seminary, got my degrees, got married, had kids, started this church. And about my mid-30s, I began to just crater emotionally into deep, dark depression and struggled with it for several years and didn't know what it was and why, but it was pretty obvious that I was falling apart. And my church was not a place where even a member could talk about real deep things going on, much less the senior pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And so it came kind of really to a head for me. It's a long story, but it came to a head in 1992 where I decided we were either going to transition the church into what I really had always believed the church ought to be, which is a place of help, hope, and healing for people, or I was done. I was finished. And in that time, God did some work in me and with the leadership, and I challenged them. I said, we either do it here or I'm gone. And they said, let's do it here. So in 1992, we transitioned the church in the direction of creating what we came to be known, because around the country, that's kind of what we're known as, the hospital church.
Right.
And it didn't happen overnight, but over the course of these 3 decades, a whole lot of things have happened. And we're at a point now, when I talk about a hospital church, what I mean is where the entire hospital, the entire church is a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
That the
Which
church
is a rarity.
That the church is not just providing some pockets of safety for all the sickos that need help,
mm-hmm.
but where the church is a safe place. And the only way that happens is when everyone there is willing to recognize we're all broken, just in different ways.
Absolutely.
In other words, not all men are struggling with sexual addiction. Not all women have been sexually abused. Not all people are struggling with any kind of like alcohol addiction or anything. But for a lot of people, it's anger, it's control, it's unforgiveness. That there's somebody that's hurt them bad in their life and they've been unable to forgive. And there they are. They look good on Sunday morning. Maybe they're teaching Sunday school class, but they're harboring this deep-seated resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness. All of those, that's all brokenness. Mm-hmm. And that person needs help, and that person needs a hospital. And so it's not all just about addiction. And it really kind of bothers me that I hear a lot of the things that are going on in churches are targeted toward addictive behaviors, which are important.
Right.
Obviously. But then that leaves all the rest of the church that don't consider themselves addicts. Well, I'm sure glad that our church is doing that ministry for those sickos over there, but I don't need it. And so they never get into the process where they could benefit and really maybe realize that they have deep-seated bitterness that's hindering their life, or they do have unforgiveness, or there's anger, or there's codependency, or what all those catchwords are that are really debilitating behaviors almost as much as an addiction can be, and maybe sometimes even more. And so what we did is we said from the top down, we're all going to be in the process. We're not all addicts. We're not all this. We're not all that. But we're all broken. We're broken by sin. And we're broken by our own sin that we've carried out. We're broken by the fall in our sin. And we're broken by sins that have been committed against us at some level. And so that way, it's not us and them. It's us.
Mm-hmm.
And
not those guys.
You may be dealing with sexual addiction, and I may be dealing with unforgiveness.
Right.
But we're both broken, and so it's a safe place.
Right.
Where nobody's, not wearing their, and, we talked about the hospital gown. It has become, the hospital gown has become our mascot. Mm-hmm. And we just say, put your hospital gown on and leave the back untied and let everybody see what you got.
Which you first said that in the Conquer series, which is the first time I really got to see you as a James Reeves in the hospital church with it flapping in the back and all your junk's open. It don't matter. Just let everybody see because nobody cares anymore. And I think the church has this stigma of if you go to those groups, you're one of those people, one of those, addicts, or that bad stigma of no, we're all broken.
And that's where churches, I think, in general, miss the boat on how this is supposed to be done. They see recovery, to use that word, as a program. So we have Sunday school, we have youth, we have single adults, and we have recovery.
Right.
Okay. And so it's each one of these is its own little world, and it's just a program. And what we have done is not a program, it's a paradigm shift. It's an entire shift in what we even see that the church is. So the church, the culture of the church has got to change for people who are hurting to get help. And that culture has got to be, we're all in need of help. Therefore, you don't need to feel shame for getting help.
Yeah. I just talked to a guy today who stays out of church for that exact reason, because of the hypocrisy behind it, that everybody goes in and puts on this mask.
Yeah.
And as soon as they walk out the door, the mask is off and they're back to normal. And he just did not want to be a part of it. He couldn't find a church.
Well, yeah, it is hypocritical, and we're all hypocrites at some level, but it is also a hindrance to that guy getting help.
Yeah.
Because he looks at that and he goes, you know what? I don't trust these people.
Exactly.
I don't trust them with my story. I don't trust them with my wounds. I don't trust them with my pain, because they look like they don't have any, or they're presenting that image. And so the person that is hurting and that we should be ministering to won't access any kind of ministry because he doesn't trust us.
Right.
Because the church is not safe. And so, I talk about in our vision statement at City on the Hill, it's making church a safe place to let go of your secrets, and then providing a safe process. So the church has got to do both. We have to be a safe place, but then we better have a strategy, a well thought out strategy, how to take people through. And because you told me you wanted to talk about this, I went ahead and put this little thing together. Pardon me, guys, I got to put my glasses on here.
No worries.
I made this flow chart to help people understand.
Wrong way.
Okay. If you can see this, okay, it's not very, it's kind of dark, but we offer about 30 different types of groups.
Wow.
In our church. And what I say to people is, nobody in our church can bring someone in our door that we don't have a ministry for. Okay. And this is just a representation. This is not all the groups. But what we do, this is the life change for every Christian. It's the workbook that I wrote 10, 12 years ago. Churches around the country are using. It's a biblically based 12-step process. So when someone comes in our church, whether they're on their last leg or they're looking good, okay, we say, you need to go through life change, because it's a discovery process. They get involved. They begin to discover that there are things they didn't know. Okay. And those begin to come out over that 12 to 13 weeks. They're meeting in that group with a facilitator. And so once that is identified, so Joe Blow here going through the life change, it may come out that he started talking about some sexual issues.
Yeah.
Boom. Where does he go next? He goes to prodigals. Okay. Or a woman shares with the women in that group of her sexual abuse. Where does she go? She goes to the Fearless series. And or maybe it's forgiveness over here. Search for Freedom is a group just about forgiveness. And so you can see that I'm having a hard time getting this thing straight. You can see how that graph goes. So everything goes on. Now, suppose someone comes to us and these groups, not one of them is not being offered, because we don't offer them all at the same time. We don't do it on a rotating basis. So then they can go in immediately to an open group. Open groups are, you can come and go. They meet every week. You don't have to be there every week. You can come at any time. We have a women's 12-step group, men's 12-step group, and we have this other group. So that's a holding place for them to at least be in the process with some people of sharing their hurts and an environment where they're talking about the woundedness until this group up here comes available. So we don't have to tell anybody it's going to be 6 months, but we'll have a group for you in 6 months. Guy goes, I haven't got 6 months. I may not have 6 days.
Right.
I can't wait 6 months. I mean, can you imagine going to a hospital and you go in the emergency room and they discover you have heart issues, but they say, our cardiac unit's not going to be available for about 4 weeks. Well, I don't need one 4 weeks from now. If I don't get one now, I may be dead in 4 weeks.
Absolutely.
And so we immediately can put them into one of these open groups here where they can come and begin to share, and the people that are caring,
Mm-hmm.
people that understand the process. And then when it opens, then they go appear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they'll move into other groups. There are about 30 of them as they rotate through.
That's
Also,
awesome.
down here, these are the anonymous groups in our community. And we have all of these that meet in our church, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We let them use our building. But these are like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, OA, Overeaters Anonymous.
Yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing to me, Tom. I got a burr in my saddle about this. You say, man, you got a lot of burrs. Oh, I do. Because I see the church being so foolish.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in churches when they start doing recovery, they immediately start telling their people, now, you don't need to go to your AA group anymore. You don't need to go to that, NA group anymore. Just do all your recovery here. And I go, don't do that. That's stupid. Why is it stupid? For two reasons. We tell our people, you stay in your AA group.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to help you go deeper than that AA group is going to be able to do. But you stay in that group for two reasons. It's going to give you one more barrier against relapse.
Right.
Because you'll be sponsoring people, or you'll be sponsored. But second, it's a fishing pool for the gospel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If all the Christians pull out of AA, how are any of those lost people in AA going to come to Jesus?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
We have people almost every week from their AA group who will bring somebody to church with them.
Mm.
And, in the open meeting, you're not allowed to talk about Jesus, okay, in an AA group.
Right, right.
But after the meeting has adjourned, that's where the real meeting actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are standing around, women are standing around, they're talking, they're drinking a cup of coffee. And at that point is where one of those guys will say, you know what, I know you're recovering like I am. I hear you talk. I know you've been sober 10 years, but there's something else about you. And what is that? Well, that's Jesus. Yeah. Oh, really? You're a Christian, huh? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Jesus is my hope. And I go to a church that loves recovering people. Really? A church that loves? Wow. Why don't you come with me next Sunday? They'll bring them in, and they'll get saved.
Yeah.
And then we can take them through our groups where they're really dealing with a lot of these deeper issues that AA's not dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
It's dealing with their alcohol. So, Jesus told us to go into the world, right? Not pull out of the world.
Right. Yeah.
And there's this mindset among Christians. Well, once I can do it all in the church, then I don't need to do it out there. I go, no, don't do that. Go out there and win them to Jesus. Stay there.
Absolutely.
Be the salt and the light in that AA group or whatever it is. Absolutely. So we also have a very symbiotic relationship with those groups because they hear about us not just from an individual sometimes, but they just hear about us from just the community of groups because they know that we're a church that celebrates recovery. No, we don't have Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah,
we were doing this before Celebrate Recovery was in existence.
Somebody asked if they wanted to get a hold of your Life Change workbook. Where would you get it?
My book Refuge was published by Kriegel Press, and my Life Change for Couples was published. So I had to give the copyright away to my publisher. I kept the copyright to the Life Change for Every Christian. I'm the only source for it. I didn't even put it out I didn't put it out even on Amazon. Yeah. And so people can get it from me. I have churches all over the country that are using it. I'm in the process right now of rewriting it, updating it some. And I'm real excited about that.
So you have one for couples too?
We're translating into Spanish now.
Wow. Awesome.
Yes. I've got a girl from the Dominican Republic that is doing a translation of Life Change so we can make it available to Spanish-speaking churches. And what it is, it's a biblically based 12-step process. I drove the steps deep into their biblical roots because that's what they are. They're biblical principles. And so I drove them real deep into their biblical roots. And in the hospital church, we use facilitators and what we call our freedom groups, which are these 12 to 13 week groups with good biblically based material with a qualified facilitator leading them. And this is our facilitator training manual. And it is filled with stuff about the characteristics of a good facilitator, what these groups are, what they're not, what are the guidelines for these groups, how does confidentiality fit into that? Because sometimes in groups we've discovered that confidentiality becomes a cover for sin.
Yeah.
you can't allow confidentiality to become a cover for sin or to break the law.
Mm-hmm.
So there are limits to that. So we talk about that. We deal with that in our facilitator training.
It was good.
So
you said you have a book for couples too?
do what?
You have a life change book for couples?
I do have. It's published. It's on Amazon,
Okay.
or any bookstore can order it.
Yeah.
I don't really promote it all that much because really it seems to me that the individual book has been more impactful in people's lives. A couple can go through groups using the individual book, and it's going to impact their marriage.
Gotcha.
But I don't really promote that a whole lot.
Cool. That's awesome stuff. Awesome
Yeah.
stuff. Appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I think our church is very similar to that. Maybe not to that extreme, but we're trying to get there. We do provide a lot of the groups, and we have those same support groups where people can come to get into the program, to get into any type of group, and then go from there to the applicable group that matches their struggle. So it's awesome stuff.
We use my workbook kind of as a triage.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people say, well, I know I'm not perfect and I know I've got problems. I just don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Or where they came from. So they get into that thing, and it's a discovery process. And then they begin to discover this bitterness. They begin to discover this unforgiveness, or they begin to discover these things that they really didn't think were debilitating their life that much. And then boom, they go right into that next experience.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And it's really funny. It changes the worship atmosphere in church. When you've got people doing these kinds of groups together, you show up on Sunday morning, and after you've been doing these groups for a few years and you've done a lot of different ones, when you walk in on Sunday morning, you see people you really know. Because you've untied your hospital gown.
Yeah, I love that.
And they've done the same with you. And so it really, it's a different atmosphere in the worship of people worshiping together who really know each other.
Yeah, so true.
Than just a bunch of folks that show up once a week on Sunday and they worship and go to Bible study. So awesome. I love that environment. That's why I love being like at the retreat. Yeah. Because there's no pretense.
No, we all know each other's stuff.
Yeah. And it's excellent.
So at the retreat, you also shared a little bit, and well, not a little bit, you shared quite a bit about your series that you have out now called Fearless for Women series, for those that are sexually abused. Maybe for those that are out there, and I also saw your interview with Dr. Wise on his YouTube channel, which was very, very cool. Good to see that too. But share a little bit about that and what that's about and where people could get in touch with you about it.
I spent about 3 years. We went live with it last March. Our website is finally live, and it can be streamed. The 5 videos can be streamed from our website. And I wrote a study guide to go with each one of the videos, and then an 8-week deeper workbook for women who want to go further. But what I realized that with the Conquer series, which I was really honored to be a part of 10 years ago, it has opened up the discussion about pornography and sexual issues with men in the church. They needed a tool to get the discussion started. And that's what the Conquer series did. So then guys that really need intensive help can go into those pure desire groups and those kind of things. So it's been a blessing. And I realized as I went around the country in churches teaching hospital church ministry that women who have been sexually abused didn't have a tool like that. They needed a tool. And we know the statistics are minimum of 1 out of 3 women sitting in a church on Sunday morning have had the experience of sexual violation, sexual molestation, and the vast majority have never told anyone. And I knew that because we've been doing it here in my church for 30 years. And I have a woman on my staff. That's her job, is working with women in sexual brokenness. So I was very aware of that. So I just decided to create a tool. And it came out, the Fearless series for women. It's unbelievable high quality. The film company that I hired to film it did an incredible job. I've got really top-notch women we're interviewing on it. And we deal with 5 subjects. How prevalent is sexual abuse? And the second one is what are some problems that can present themselves in a woman's life? Third, why this needs to be a priority for the church and what the church is going to have to do to make it safe for women to talk about this. And the fourth is prevention. How do we teach our children the right terminology and give them the freedom to talk to us as parents if something is happening? And then the 5th one is what does the pathway of healing look like? And it's taken off. I was really, within the last 10 days, I've gotten the final word from Bellevue Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee, which is the church that Adrian Rogers was pastor of until he died in 2005. Steve Gaines now is the senior pastor and is a wonderful, wonderful guy. I think they run about 8,000 on Sunday morning. They're going to do the Fearless. They're going to do the Fearless series starting January 12th at Bellevue Baptist Church in Memphis.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I got a call this week from some folks in the UK that are wanting to see if they can get it over into the UK, because it's a problem over there, like it is.
Yeah.
So this thing is beginning to, it's beginning to take off. I'm really, really excited about it. And you probably heard me on that interview with Doug where I said this is the most important thing I've ever done.
You did say that.
And I mean that. I mean it. It's the most important thing in ministry that I've ever done.
I put the website down at the bottom of the screen there for anybody who wants to get a hold of that or talk to you more about it. They can check out the website down there.
So. I'd love to talk with you.
Yeah.
And we're connecting with some other ministries now that can do some things that we're not able to provide, so that really no one will fall through the cracks. We have individual women that contact us from off, I had somebody from Florida today, and I couldn't help her because, at my church, I could help her, but I can't help her in Florida. But I know a ministry that does it through Zoom groups.
Yeah.
And specializes in sexual abuse of women. And so we're partnering together so I can send that ministry, any woman that calls that needs help but doesn't have a group and is far enough away, then they'll take them in and put them through their Zoom process. So I'm really excited about the synergy of the different ministries getting together.
Yeah.
I'm providing a tool. That ministry of that woman, she provides a process, to help women. So I'm real pumped about, and like what you guys do. You do a lot of Zoom stuff.
Yep.
And that's necessary because sometimes guys are stuck off out somewhere where there's not a Pure Desire group anywhere near close to them.
Exactly.
And so, you guys by doing that.
You've got to provide the resources so people can get to it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So I got to ask you.
Okay.
You told me, what was your nickname? You used to call yourself
I still do call myself
the pirate
pastor.
So what's behind that?
In fact, when I spoke at the Pure Desire National Summit up in Washington about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had a rattlesnake patch. So I'm a West Texas boy. I grew up hunting rattlesnakes, and I made hat bands and stuff. And I had a rattlesnake patch that I wore one night. And I said to him, "This is the patch I wear when I don't want anybody to mess with me. I wear my rattlesnake patch." But I walked up and I went, "Hello, I'm the pirate pastor." Arr! And the guys had a good time.
I know the guys at the retreat were trying to find you a customary patch that you could wear over that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and I make my own patches because the store-bought ones, they just don't get it done. So
I hear you.
I got a camo patch when I go hunting.
Nice. Well, I appreciate your time coming on here, James, sharing a little bit about the retreat, about your hospital church, and also about the Fearless for Women series. That's awesome.
Okay.
You're doing all that. We appreciate it, and we look forward to you coming back next year at our retreat, spending some time with us again. And I know you might be coming to Pennsylvania here in the spring. And
I'll be going. I'm going to Reno, Nevada in less than 2 weeks, and then I just scheduled a trip into Pennsylvania for a large church there that has wanted me to come and actually give them this framework for how to be a hospital church.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's really that I enjoy doing that. I love doing that.
Yeah, appreciate all you're doing, and for those out there that want to get involved with James, you're more than welcome to get a hold of James directly. The website's out there, Fearless for Women.
And my email is on the website, so you can email me.
His email's there. Next year's retreat, the pre-registration is open now for both the men's and the women's retreat. Let's see. That's the website that you can go to pre-register. We are, like I said earlier, we're trying to sell out the men's retreat again so that we can get the whole camp this year. So we won't have anybody else there except us, which will be awesome. And I think we'll have no problem getting that. The women are also trying to get a minimum. That's why the pre-registration is going on, so that they can reserve a certain section of Sandy Cove Resort up there, so they can get the chapel back again. And
hey, Tom, if we get it all sold out and it's just us there, can we have a food fight in the cafeteria?
We can do that.
Okay.
We can do that. We go take a plunge in the bay too.
Yeah, exactly.
in
The
late
weather is
October.
sick? I don't think so.
That's good. That'd be a good time. So again, the retreats, they're coming up. Pre-registration, get in there, get your tickets now, and so we can plan for next year's events. And we just look forward to everybody coming back out. We look forward to seeing James again. And Rich said he's coming back. Mark Dennison from There's Still Hope said he's coming back. So
Great.
hopefully, excuse me, Rodney Wright will come back. We'll just have an awesome time and see all the guys again, and just looking forward to that. So
Well,
again,
If
James,
Rodney comes, I'll drown him in the Chesapeake Bay.
I don't know, he's bigger than you.
Oh,
You got two bodyguards though.
I got big bodyguards. That's right. I host sick them.
We'll take care of Rodney.
Okay.
All right. Oh, what's this one question here? Let's see. What part of PA are you coming to? I'm in Harleysville.
It is New Holland.
Yeah, so it's not far from Harleysville. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there were some guys, about 5 or 6 or 7 guys from Pennsylvania at the retreat.
Yep.
And they're all mostly around the Pittsburgh area, which I understand is a little bit farther away from New Holland. But that's where the church is. It's Liberty Lighthouse, I believe.
Yep.
It's the Assembly of God Church in New Holland.
Yeah. So Wayne, if you want more information on that, keep in touch with me. I'll be able to get you connected to that church and let you know when the dates are. So.
In fact, I planned on emailing all the guys that I had the emails from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And tell them that we're going to be there. And that way, if they want to drive over for one night, because I'm going to be teaching how to do hospital church work, not just like the teaching the principles I did at the retreat. I'm actually doing the nuts and bolts of how a church like that operates and how you can make it strategic.
That'd be awesome.
As Doug says, he kept using the word that's intelligent. He says, an intelligent strategy. And I like that. In other words, it's a strategy that's been thought through. Give it some thinking. It's not, it's not hodgepodge.
Right. That's awesome. Awesome. Wayne says New Holland's 20 minutes from him. He must drive fast because I know Harleysville and I know New Holland, and 20 minutes is quick.
He's got a helicopter probably.
Maybe that's it. That's it. All right, James, again, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for all you do, and keep it up. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.